Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to a brief review of a brand new watch that looks like nothing I have ever reviewed on the channel before. Why? Because it has a PAGANI dial, and I've never reviewed a watch with a PAGANI dial before. This type of dial with a raised flat center section and sloping edges is synonymous with Omega's Constellation range of watches that first launched in the 1950s. There is though some debate as to whether the nickname referred to the looks literally resembling a bacon tray or whether it is a mistranslation from the French. Regardless, the PAGANI moniker has stuck steadfastly to this style of watch for the last 70 years, and you really don't see them all that often in 2025. You can pick one up from Omega for a mere $36,000. Boltony undercuts that by just a little bit. Theirs is $300. Now, there is a bit of a caveat with that price at the moment. If you are in the USA, your purchase may well be subject to a considerable import tax. If that makes a $300 watch a $700 watch, it's simply not worth it. Keep your money in your pocket. Let's see if there is a de-escalation over the coming months. If you're outside of the US, you're probably paying your own import taxes. Here in Australia, they're set at 10%, but even then, the Boltony is a bit of a bargain. Now, you saw the pop-up. This one was sent to me by the brand. I will therefore leave a link to their website and AliExpress listing in the description of the video. It's a bit of a unicorn then. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Indeed, let's. I'll give you a bit of a spoiler alert though. I think this is excellent. I think they did a great job on this. Not to say it's perfect, it could be a little bit cheaper than that $300 headline price, but not too many other complaints. Nice packaging as well. This is a $300 Boltony. You do get the same packaging though with the $100 Boltonies as well. But one thing you also get, which you don't always get from an AliExpress watch, is a signed and dated warranty card, proper 2-year warranty with this one. Also, little instruction manual, which you definitely won't need today, and a polishing cloth, and it's a little PU leatherette pouchy containing the watch. That is a good looking watch. Now, I have always been a bit of a sucker for black and gold. The second video I ever made on the channel was a review of my black and rose gold Orient Bambino, but yeah, that's lovely. If you're not a fan of black and gold, they do this one in a much more simple looking white and silver, but this was my choice. I asked for this one specifically. Now, clearly it's an Omega homage. It's kind of prescriptive, therefore it's not based on any one individual reference that I could tell anyway. More a kind of greatest hits of selection of a bunch of different PAGANI Omega Constellation references from the 1950s. I think though they got so much of this watch right. There are a couple of extra little touches that you wouldn't necessarily expect that Boltony have added here that really take this one to the next level. In terms of dimensions, I measure it at 38.3 mil in diameter, so certainly a little bit larger than the old 34s and 35s, as was the fashion in the 1950s. Thickness of 10.3, lug to lug of 46.7. Now that sounds compact, but it does wear quite flat, as will be discussed. 20 mil between the lugs, weight of 61 grams, 50 meters of water resistance, lovely piece of double domed sapphire covering the dial, and the movement in the back is a Miyota 9039 no date specific, which you can ogle at today should you choose to, thanks to a sapphire display case back. Now, I'll slip in a couple of bits of macro here. I'm sure there are plenty of train spotters out there watching this video. There's certainly one in here making this video. I reckon that is new Miyota branding. I reckon that's a slightly different font than I've seen on all 9000 series in the past. Perhaps somebody can confirm that for me in the comments section. Anyway, there you go. We've all seen these before. Japanese made, little bit of decoration, accurate and reliable. The first of the nice touches involves the coating on the case. This is light gold IP coated, so they've deliberately chosen a paler shade than you would normally find to make the watch look a little bit more vintage. They're not trying to make it look like a vintage watch, if you see what I mean. I suppose it is the IP equivalent of photinid lume on the dial and hands. I think it works really nicely. They call those dog leg lugs as well, and the crown is a dodecagon just like the PAGANI dial, having those 12 facets, one for each of the hour markings. In addition to the light gold colour, it's also hardness coated up to 500 Vickers from stainless steel's normal 200 Vickers. Again, a nice touch. It's a nice high quality leather strap they have used here as well. As you can see, it's embossed. It is actually quite thick towards the spring bars, tapering down in thickness and in width towards its tip. No quick release spring bars here though, so you are going to have to use a tool if you want to swap it out for something else. Not that you really need to though. Baltony branded hardware, again in that light gold IP coating. Let's have a look at the dial and hands in some more detail then, including a little bit of macro here, and this one does just look like it has walked straight out of the 1950s. You can see those 12 distinct straight lines on the upper surface of the dial from some angles, but not from all angles, and they are lovely applied markers on that kind of sloping outer edge. The ones at the 12, the 3, the 6 and 9 are all the same. They're slightly broader and slightly straighter than all the others, which have a more arrowhead look to them. They're all high polished gold, all have a facet down the middle to catch the light, but they are not overbearing. They don't overpower the handset. Fairly small, relatively small set of Dauphine hands with a little bit of loom down the middle, as I'll show you in just a second. Needle seconds hand though, with no loom whatsoever. Now in terms of branding, Baltony have chosen to put their block capital brand name beneath the index at 12, automatic, and then rather cheekily the star, the Omega constellation star, above the index at 6. More on that later. Overall though, no major complaints. I love this colour. It really does make the whole thing look rich and rather luxurious. Now I mentioned a little bit of loom, and this is a little bit of loom. There is the merest sliver, a suggestion of old radium on the hour hand and the minute hand. When I turn the speed up, it's gone before the end of the test, but hey, it's the thought that counts, isn't it? That's it sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist, and to an extent, I mean that. It does kind of sit on top of the wrist. I'm not sure whether it is those dog leg lugs, relatively flat side profile. I suspect not really helped by the thickness of the upper portion of the strap. I've had this one in the house now for a week. I've worn it quite a bit. It is kind of beginning to soften up a little, but I suspect this one is going to need quite a bit more breaking in before it fully conforms to me. 61 grams though, not a bad weight, and 38 point something millimeters, just about the perfect size for this style of watch in a modern market. And not really about legibility, this one. That's just as well, isn't it? Actually, the loom strips kind of save the day from certain angles. Yeah, the light catches the hands from certain other angles, but it's not fabulous. Not really meant to be though. 1950s movie star looks though for only $300. What am I going to complain about? Well, in certain markets, it's not a $300 watch anymore, is it? As I said in the intro, perhaps keep your money in your pocket until things settle down, if indeed they do. If they don't, there's going to be a huge seismic shift in the watch market over the course of 2025. Now, I touched on the logo earlier on. I wonder if they might have been better putting the stylized Baltony B, the scripted B, beneath the index at 12 rather than that slightly perfunctory block capital Baltony thing. Leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts. Because they have put that cheeky little applied star there, I feel the Baltony logo gets somewhat overshadowed and overpowered by the star. Perhaps something a bit more meaty on the upper half of the dial would have balanced it out better. And perhaps, just perhaps, a thinner Epson style strap might have been better for this one. This is not the right colour at all. It's pretty much all I've got in the house in 20mm. Maybe something in all black. Yeah, definitely this one feels like it's more part of my wrist than it did with the original supply leather strap. And just because you know I'm a complete penny pincher, Chinese watch, $300, leather strap, Miyota power. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, the value's pretty good when you compare it to any other micro brand, but it would have been even better, closer to $250, I think.
But overall, it's a stunner and stunningly unexpected from a brand more normally associated with military style watches. I think Baltony and Mercure are by far the two most interesting kind of Ali direct brands, if you will. Both of them seem more than prepared to do something a little bit different. And this particular watch shows that they can do it properly as well.
So there you have it, a very different, very attractive, and even at RRP, very well priced watch. Although that doesn't stop me wanting an extra $50 off it. At $300, it gets one thumbs up. If you can grab one on sale for closer to $250, it would get two thumbs up. Well done for making it all the way to the end of the video. I cannot suggest you look at another Pan review because this is the first one I've ever seen as discussed. I have looked at a couple of Baltonys though. Why not check out one of those videos over there? Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you again in the next one.